Good evening and welcome to this newscast on the Dan Broadcasting System Television. We begin this news with these headlines. Thus, corporal punishment have its place in discipline in schools. That's the question that took our reporter down to schools and the answers in this newscast. Some public primary schools in the Douala 5 municipality have received their minimum packages from the mayor of that municipality today. Those were our headlines, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you're welcome to this newscast. My name is Rahel Ule Abia for presentation. A two-day consultation meeting is taking place in Yaoundé with experts working on means on how to prevent HIV and AIDS pandemic. The seminar is chaired by the main secretary, technical secretary of the Central Technical Group of the National Committee for the Fight Against AIDS. Bongo Francis with the details.
It is in line with the main goal of ending the AIDS epidemic by 2030 that the national stakeholders consultation on HIV prevention are gathering here in Yaoundé for a two-day deliberation. Under the coordination of the Ministry of Public Health and the National AIDS Control Committee, participants made up of HIV prevention experts and advocates, plus those from UNAIDS, WHO, and UNICEF, are putting on the table diverse strategies, methodologies, and recommendations necessary to step up the fight in the country against the killer disease.
The meeting will look into this area, concentrating on 5 pillars. The first pillar is the key population, people who are really at high risk, like commercial sex workers, men having sex with men, and other vulnerable groups. The second pillar is the condom use. How is people using condom? How much condom the country needs? What is the policy on condom distribution? What is the quality? And so on. And the third pillar is the young women and adolescent girls. Those are the most vulnerable groups that we need special attention. The fourth pillar is PrEP. PrEP is the pre-exposure prophylaxis. This is for people, for example, who are very, very high risk. Group that are very exposed to HIV, where we think that in this group, if people start taking ARV as a prophylaxis, they can prevent transmission. And then, as I said, the coordination, the financing, and all the management of HIV prevention.
It was noted during this sitting that though the general prevalence rate of HIV in Cameroon experiences minor decrease, certain population groups still suffer more, thus they need to change their approach.
It is important to be a little bit more targeted in terms of approach. Where are the most vulnerable? While the prevalence of HIV in Cameroon today in the general population is around 3.6%, the prevalence in some group of the Cameroonese, girls or boys, is as high as 20 to 30%. That means in some group, 1 out of 3 people is already infected. So we need to have a better understanding, a better identification on where are the most vulnerable and how we can bring the prevention, how we can bring the tools like the condom or other tools or these new methods using some medicine to protect themselves.
By the end of this two-day deliberation, the assessment will provide inputs to the National HIV Prevention Consultation and in turn shall prepare the national delegation for the Global Coalition on HIV Prevention to be launched in October in Nairobi, Kenya.
The prohibition of the use of corporal punishment has been a point of debate for some Cameroonians, while others accept the view that it is not pedagogically approved. They still behave or believe that it cannot completely be eliminated. Mange Venasio talked to some teachers and some Cameroonians. This is what he brought back.
It is usual to have animals like cows, horses, or sheep being disciplined with a stick or cane. Man, being another form of animal, although endowed with reason, has been subjected to whipping as a form of discipline or correction. A phenomenon which holds true for the African man, to say the least, has become so unpopular that any civilized society now considers it as an abuse to human rights. Before then, corporal punishment in formal education was the primary means of correction. Students and pupils were sometimes flogged to the point of sustaining wounds on the buttocks or on their palms. Surprising as it could sound, this was and is in direct contrast to Article 35 of the Law of Cameroon National Educational Guidelines number 98/004 of 1998. By this law, corporal punishment is unlawful in schools. It states that the physical and moral integrity of students is guaranteed in the educational system. Therefore, corporal punishment and all other forms of violence are prohibited. Such a position adopted by the ministries in charge of education has been received with mixed feeling by many Cameroonians. According to some, the elimination of corporal punishment in schools is not helpful in a country with a child population of about 5,557,000 per UNICEF 2012 statistics. To this parent, he would have loved that corporal punishment be reinstated in our schools, but should be used objectively. Going by his words, this will bring back the respect teachers deserve, as was the case in their days. This teacher believes that practically it is impossible to teach without a cane, because it is what brings calm in class and help in reorientating recalcitrant students. On the other hand, these teachers are not of the opinion that corporal punishment should be used in schools.
A cane is not allowed in the school for the pupils. A cane, as we know, is for correction, but it is not allowed in the school.
I'm not for the fact that we should use canes in school.
For one, normally a cane is not supposed to be used in school.
Although holding this position, they still betray their argument by finding a reason for using a cane in schools.
Or use it in situations where you want to correct a particular situation. That's my own thing about the cane.
It's only when the situation, as my colleague said, is horrible that we can use it to correct, not to harden.
We only use it on extreme cases, sometimes for immediate correction. Because if you keep on saying this child, this same thing, sometimes that can immediately, when you correct with the cane at that particular point, it is okay.
Although Western culture promotes the prohibition of corporal punishment in schools, basing on human rights, a Latin proverb says, "Virtue in medio stat," or virtue lies in the middle.
Some didactic materials combined with medication have been distributed to some 40 government primary schools in the Douala 5 municipality. This distribution was carried out by the mayor of that municipality, who called on the administration to make good use of the package handed over to them. Subiru Madina completes that story.
Exercise books, chalk, typing sheets, benches and paracetamol are some of the items which appears in the list of minimum packets handed to the head teachers in Douala 5 municipality Thursday 14 September 2017 at the esplanade of the Douala 5 Council. 38 government primary schools and 12 pilot schools are those who received this minimum package from the mayor for Douala 5, Sa Majesté Gustave Ebanda, given by Head of State Paul Biya to all government primary schools nationwide. While receiving these parcels, some head teachers appreciated the kind gesture of the Head of State, as Madame Nutaje Grace says it would help teachers in preparing class lessons.
Appreciate it. And we appreciate the government, we appreciate the mayor for this gesture, because at least it's going to help us help the school at large, the teachers too. At least they will prepare their lessons, they will write their lessons, and they are going to teach the children according to following the program.
Sa Majesté Gustave Ebanda, on his part, called on these head teachers to make good use of the accessories by teaching the children accordingly. To end the ceremony, he equally reminded the population that the divisional officer for Douala 5 would be installed into his functions in Douala 1 subdivision on Friday, 22 September, in respect to the recent appointments of September 4, displacing the different divisional officers in Vuri Division.
Our back to school page today takes us to the Exclami school here in Douala. After visiting Ecole Groupe Scolaire Ibrahim, our student journalist Raimatu Sekebi tells us that their curriculum is not only limited to French and English language, but it includes Arabic. Her report.
Ikra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read in the name of Allah. Read the Quran and modernism. These are the words from the Quran which encourage education in the Muslim community. In moving in Ecole Groupe Scolaire Ibrahim, it is noticed that the pupils are said to receive lessons in Arab, French, and English. In order for the proprietor of this school to achieve his objective, he created this Islamic school to teach Arab to this Muslim young-minded generation. According to him, his aim is to learn the Muslim children to learn Arab in general and the Holy Quran in particular. He says this school begins from pre-nursery to class 7 and thus the right to the first school leaving certificate like any other school. Although these people are out to study, they also learn to dress decently and neatly, for they have in mind that hard work, cleanliness, punctuality, obedience, as well as humility is the key to success.
And Cameroonians have been urged to get together so as to make the country a stronger nation. This was a call made by Jean-Marc Ngos while addressing militants in a rally recently. Amadou Jallo Buba was on that beat.
Jean-Marc Ngos is undergoing campaigns to sell his political ideology ahead of the 2018 presidential election. He held a rally in Douala on Wednesday, September 13th, to reiterate his determination to stand as the next presidential candidate. He goes as far as brandishing himself as the next president. What an ambition, but then elections are never won in advance, and as such, there is the need to match ambitions with realistic actions.
I seize this opportunity because on the year 13 September 1958, they killed one of our founding fathers, the late Ruben Umnyobe. So today I seize this opportunity to say we can save our national unity, because there's no Cameroon above another. We can't sit down and see our country going deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. We have to wake up, stand up together, build together, and draw a prosperous, righteous, and powerful nation.
As a politician, he called on Cameroonians to come together to build a healthy nation.
Well, we take you out of the country where medical experts are sounding the alarm as the waterborne disease cholera is set to be spreading in Africa and other parts of the world. VOA with the details.
More than 500 people have died in a cholera epidemic that is sweeping across the Democratic Republic of Congo. The World Health Organization says the epidemic has spread to at least 20 of Congo's 26 provinces. Observers say outbreaks of the disease occur regularly in Congo, mainly due to poor sanitation and a lack of access to clean drinking water. But this year's epidemic has already hit at least 10 urban areas, including the capital, Kinshasa. About 1.4 million people have been displaced by violence in the central Kasai region. Meanwhile, the United Nations says efforts to contain a cholera outbreak in northeast Nigeria are being hampered by the lack of a referral system to identify new cases. The UN says the outbreak has struck more than 1,000 people housed in camps for those who fled Boko Haram. UNICEF and other partners are assisting health officials in the northeastern state of Borno to contain the outbreak. That region is at the epicenter of the Islamist militant insurgency and the disease outbreak.
They administered drip to me. The vomiting and diarrhea stopped, and I got better.
Cholera is an acute diarrheal infection spread by contaminated food and water. It can be easily treated with oral rehydration solution if it is caught early, but it can also kill within hours if left untreated. This most recent outbreak began in late August, and aid workers had already warned that Nigeria's rainy season could spread disease in displacement camps that were already unsanitary.
The main problem that we have been having is the fact that, when the people are sick, although we are spreading messages, when the people are sick, they don't proactively report, to the clinics. They don't proactively engage with humanitarian partners. So we have to do what we call active case finding, means that we have to go to find them in their houses.
UNICEF says more than 20,000 people have been killed in Nigeria's conflict with Boko Haram. At least 2.2 million have been displaced. Cholera is also spreading in other parts of the world. In the wake of the 2016 Hurricane Matthew, the affected parts of Haiti experienced a 50% increase in cholera cases due to a lack of clean drinking water. Medical officials are now concerned that cases of cholera will increase in the aftermath of Hurricane Irma. In Yemen, cholera has infected at least 612,000 people and killed over 2,000 since it began in April. Observers say the epidemic has exacerbated the already dire humanitarian situation in the war-ravaged country.
Yemen has become the largest humanitarian crisis in the world as a result of combination of conflict, cholera, and food insecurity.
The Red Cross warns that cholera could impact 850,000 people in Yemen by the end of the year.
We talk more news. Somalia opens its first forensic laboratory today. It is expected to track down perpetrators of violence in Somalia. This is it is beautifully hailed as a step in the direction to stopping gender-based violence, even though it's still a long way to go. Once again, VOA.
Somalia has opened its first forensic laboratory to investigate rape cases. The lab, with support from the Swedish government and the UN Population Fund, brings cutting-edge technology to a part of the world still lacking paved roads and reliable electricity.
We used to send DNA from here to Nairobi or from here to South Africa. So those restraints now are easy. We can manage this and get answers within timely period, within hours, within minutes, where we used to have days, sometimes months, to receive those.
There will not be a stigma, there will not be a discussion about who did this, who did the crime, who did the rape, so it's a big encouragement.
The lab opened less than a year after the Puntland region passed its first law criminalizing sexual offenses.
There are some police officers who say rape is not a big deal and consider it a minor thing. They say it is nothing new.
Kis Shamis Kabdibail is the only police officer in her unit. She handles all cases involving sexual violence in Puntland. Officer Bail says many of her rape cases are handled by community elders. The perpetrator's family may be ordered to pay the victim's family in camels or goats. And that is just the cases that women report.
I was shy and said to myself, don't tell your story to anyone because it is shameful. I even hid the story from my husband.
Fatima agreed to be interviewed on the condition that VOA change her name. She and her friend were collecting firewood near an IDP camp in Puntland a year ago when 3 men attacked them. Fatima was pregnant.
I was
was in month 4 of pregnancy. I miscarried the baby days later.
She has found support at the Women's Center attached to the local hospital. It's a safe space that advocates are now using to get the word out about the new forensic lab. The hope is that between the new law, the new lab, and community outreach, that Somali women will see justice. Neha Wadaker for VOA News, Garowe, Somalia.
However, in another case, it's rather different. This time around in Kenya, where a group of men are said to have stormed a hotel where Christian Women Organization was holding a meeting in relation to the upcoming presidential elections. It is reported that the men stopped the meeting and attacked the women. VOA once again.
Had to fire tear gas and bullets in the air to disperse the young men who smashed windows and broke chairs using the pieces to beat the women. Rumors were swirling on social media that the women's meeting was intended to plan the renting of voter identification cards, a rigging tactic alleged by the opposition before last month's election. Participants in the meeting denied that that was the purpose and say they were meeting to see how to encourage peaceful voting.
We were doing introduction. We were talking on our roles as women when it comes to peace and justice, our role as women. That is what we are talking about. So before the first session ended, a group of men came in and they ordered us out.
And in another story in South Sudan, propositions are being made as to the issue of security and the need for displaced persons to return back home. VOA again.
Thousands of families who fled their homes remain sheltered in makeshift camps around the town, relying on humanitarian aid to survive. Fighting between government and opposition forces has subsided in the town in recent months, prompting about 6,000 people to go back home. The United Nations says a sense of security needs to be firmly established to encourage more people to return home and rebuild their lives. And many look forward to going back home if their safety can be guaranteed.
An enabling environment for security to prevail in the whole of world. And that enabling environment can only be guaranteed by the police and the state government. The bringing in of the military was meant to fight the rebellion. And of course now, right now, the level of rebellion, of course, has gone down. We have not seen rebel activities in the last 3 months around WOW. So there will be no more need for the military to be intensively deployed around the town, because that creates fear among civilians.
In sports football, the local League One Championship enters day 32 this weekend. Before the matches, Williams Amo Awa now presents the state at which things stand, while Aiding FC is sure to emerge as this year's champions. Canon of Yaoundé is mathematically visualizing a relegation to the inferior league. His report.
In view of the numerous postponements noticed before the official start of this year's Professional League One season, much was surely not expected in quality of play style by the actors of different clubs. Regardless of the suspense which exists until now, with only 3 days to the end of the championship. After 31 days of play with over 240 matches, the account in points is a cause for concern, even though Aiding Football Club with 60 points leaves a 9-point difference from Coton Sport. The former, as at now, stands as favorite champions for this season. Meanwhile, among the top 5 teams, the fight is serious for tickets in African competitions. Coton Sport of Garra on Sport 2 is not too sure with its 51 points, and it's followed by Apijes Omfu with 47 points. Stade Renard of Melon, Yon Sport Academy of Bamenda, and UMS of Loom are 3rd, 4th, and 5th with 46, 46, and 43 points respectively. Bambutus of Mbuda and Fetcher FC are confident of a stay in League One next year's season. One victory would finalize the hopes of Colombe with 41 points, Unisport and New Stars 40 points each. Still to be confirmed is the position of Dragon with 38 points plus 1 delayed match. Union Sportif of Douala stands on the 13th position with 37 points, Aigle Royal of Nchang 14th, and Astre of Douala 15th with 35 points. At the relegation zone, Racine is first with 33 points, while Lyon Blessé of Fotoni and Canon Football Club of Yaoundé registered 26 points each. 3 days of action are left for each team to confirm its standing.
And it's on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that we close the curtains to this newscast this evening. It was a pleasure being in your company. You don't have to go away because in about less than 45 minutes, Luke Sessionang is going to be here with the news in the French language. Until tomorrow again, you stay blessed. Good night.